From the dust I was born, to the dirt I shall return. When my eyes are closed, in the shadows, my enemies will think they won, but I'm here to stay. Destiny will overcome, no, I am not afraid. Like a phoenix in the night, my soul will rise.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Small Ball Podcast. This is episode 11, the varsity softball preview. And the idea of this episode is just to give everyone a preview of all the teams in the Beaver County area and some of the players who we want to focus on when we do these live broadcasts. I reached out to all the coaches and gathered some information as far as their players and their teams go. Not all the coaches replied. Most of them did, but not everyone. So we'll get into that right now as far as who I need to get information from. So if anyone out there knows any of these athletic directors and coaches, please reach out to them and have them contact me at bill.littler@bcsoftballnetwork.com. Now, there's 3 athletic directors that I didn't receive an approval yet to live stream their games at their facility. So those are Aliquippa, Beaver Falls, and Freedom. Now, I did exchange emails with Freedom's athletic director, but he had a couple questions, and he didn't get back to me as far as the approval goes. So waiting on him. And then Aliquippa, Beaver Falls, I just haven't heard from them. So I don't know if I'm sending it to the wrong email address. I don't know if it's getting flagged as spam. I'm not real sure. And then the list of coaches is obviously Aliquippa and Beaver Falls. I don't know who the coach at Aliquippa is. I just found out who the coach at Beaver Falls is, but I don't have her contact information. I was given an email, but it bounced back on me, so I'm back to not knowing. And then, of course, the last 3 were New Brighton, Rochester, and Southside. Now, their athletic directors approved the streaming, but I just didn't get back or communicate with the coaches yet. So if anyone knows those coaches, please have them reach out to me as well. I was going to release a full season schedule, but after this week and seeing how the weather can really impact these games, I decided just to maybe do it a week-to-week thing, just to have an idea of where we're going and what we're doing. If I get too far ahead of myself, I think it's going to be hard and confusing for everyone to know exactly where I'm at. Now, if you're interested in watching games, what you can do is go to our YouTube channel. So it would be go to youtube.com /@BC Softball Network, and it'll take you to our channel. And what we want you to do is subscribe and turn on the alerts. And what happens when you do that is anytime I go live on that channel, you'll get a notification that there's a live stream game going on. So it'll just be a way for you to stay included without really knowing the schedule. Now, in gathering these lists of players with the coaches, first off, I want to thank all the coaches who did get back to me. But what we're trying to do is come up with a list of what I call a 10 to watch. And these top 10 girls, I feel, are the best players in the Beaver County area. And I just want to highlight them during these broadcasts. In doing that, in gathering, there's a lot of other girls that are, maybe not top 10, but they're right up in there. So I have another list that I call Under the Radar. And those girls, it's just a list of girls who I feel are lined up to have a potential breakout year. And it's a lot of underclassmen, so it'll help me produce that 10 to watch list next year and the future years. And then another list I have is freshmen to watch, and that list was given to me by the coaches. So I don't know a lot of the freshmen coming up, so I relied on the coaches to give me that information. So they had given me a list of freshmen to watch, and then also we have teams to watch. So the top handful of teams that are in Beaver County and I feel that are going to have big years, we identified them in their own list as well. And then at the end of the season, the next list we're going to have is going to be the all BCSN team. So it's going to be just like an all-star team. There's going to be 2 teams, first team and a second team. And those lists will be populated based off of how the girls play throughout the season. So that's my hope anyway. Again, this is the first year I'm doing this, so we're going to try to go through things step by step and see what works, what doesn't work, what we can improve next year. I'd like to take a second to talk to just the players. These lists are to recognize the girls who are putting a lot into the sport. And that's really what this network is about. It's about the girls, and it's about that extra recognition that the girls that are working hard deserve to get. Now, my advice to all the players is something that one of Macy's travel coaches had said a few years back that really stuck to me. It's called control the controllables. Anything in that white circle are things that you can control as an individual, right? So your hustle, your effort, your being a good teammate, good sportsmanship, your preparation to the game, respecting coaches and umpires and other players, and just being a positive role model. Those are things that you can control yourself. Yeah. So the things that you can't control are in the black circle, right? So your coach and their decisions. You can't control that. You can't control winning. The other team might be just having a better day than you. You can't control that. Field conditions. You may have a crummy field that you're playing on. Teammates, your opponents, the weather. All right. Umpires in their strike zone or good calls or bad calls or whatever. And these lists, you don't have any control over those things. So, you want to control the controllables. You want to control the things that you can control. When you get on the field, you're hustling to your position. If you strike out, you're hustling back to the dugout. If you pop a fly, you want to hustle to first base just in case it's dropped. A teammate makes a mistake or you don't give them a hard time. You give them a high five and you encourage them to do better next time. Those are the types of things that really makes you a player and separates you from the rest of the group, right? Doing those things, your work ethic, getting prepared, playing hard, hustling all the time, that's going to make you a better player, and that'll ultimately get you on these lists in the long run. So that's my advice to the players. We're not ranking anybody. We're just saying, hey, check this girl out. She really works hard. She should be someone that you watch. Okay, so let's get into the teams here. So the first team is Aliquippa High School, and as I said earlier, the athletic director didn't get back to me, and I don't know who the coach is. So if anyone has any information on Aliquippa and their softball program, please reach out to me. So let's move to Ambridge. But they hired Amanda Mitchell. She goes by Coach AJ. I don't really know much about her. She did send me an email about the team a little bit, but Ambridge is looking to rebuild and come back to what they used to be. Ambridge has been a very competitive team. I do believe they won a state championship in softball. They're the only other team besides Beaver who won it. So they have a rich history, and I'm sure Coach AJ wants to get back there. So. Now, for the all-section players, they don't have any returning, but they do have a key player. Her name is Anita Sismoniak. She's a catcher, senior this year. She did sign with St. Vincent College to play college ball, so that's exciting for her and her family. She did play on my Valley Rage team that I had, so I know Anita and her capabilities, and I think she's a really good player. She's really fun to watch. She has that mentality that you want to build a team around, that bulldog mentality. She's really passionate, loves the game. She is on my 10 to watch list, so she's one of the 10 girls that we want to keep an eye on. The other girl that Coach AJ mentioned was Sam Astorino. She actually played on my Rage team as well. She's a left-handed pitcher, a senior. And these other couple girls, I really don't know who they are. So, with Coach AJ giving me their names, I get to watch them and see what they can do. Okay, so next up is Beaver. Beaver's coached by Amy Haggart. This is her 6th season. She started coaching Beaver in 2018. If you haven't watched it yet, Amy did a podcast with me, so we do have an interview with her. She has a really a big history of not only being a player but also a coach, and we kind of talk about her Hall of Fame inductees, and she tells me a little bit about her season coming in and how she plans on filling the void of her Peyton List, the senior that graduated. So it's a real good podcast. Now, if you click on this link up here, you should be able to access it. There should be a link that you can click on. So go ahead and take a minute and watch that podcast. It's a really good one. Now, talking about a little bit about Amy's season. Obviously, Beaver's one of the more successful teams in Beaver County. They were a 2-time defending WPIAL section champion, and they also won a state a couple years ago. So they're a very successful team. She does have 3 returning all-section players. One is Sammy Springman. She was the catcher last year as a freshman. Phenomenal player. She was catching, of course, one of the better pitchers in the country, and she handled her well as having a very good batting average and just being a great all-around player for Amy. So she's expecting big things from her. Taylor Young is another player who helped Amy's team last year as a freshman. Another good player for sure. And then Kayla Cornell, she's Amy's third baseman. She's probably the most experienced player in Beaver County, being a starter on that PIAA state championship team as well as the 2 WPIAL championship teams. So she's an RBI type player. Plays really well defensively down in the hot corner. So those 3 girls are part of my 10 to watch list. And Amy gave me a couple key players who she thinks is going to help her out. One is Grace Thompson. She's a right-handed pitcher. She's a senior this year. She'll be expected to kind of fill the void at the circle left by Peyton. So it's big shoes to fill, but Amy had all the confidence in the world that she's going to be more than capable of doing it. So it'll be exciting to watch. She did play on my original Valley Rage team as well. So it's nice seeing her, mature and be competitive for a successful team like Amy's. Mackenzie Springer, I really don't know much about her, so I'm hoping to see more this year. And then Amy also did give me 2 impactful freshmen. Jaden Brown, she's an outfielder, right-handed pitcher, and then we have Aubrey Bumbliss, who's also an outfielder and middle infielder, and those are the girls that Amy had given to me. So good luck to Beaver and Coach Amy. Okay, so our next team is Beaver Falls. Beaver Falls, again, was one of those teams that the athletic director didn't get back to me. I was given the new coach's name, so this is another first-year coach. Her name is Coach Kylie Jo Ward. So this will be her first year in Beaver Falls. The only other thing I know about Beaver Falls is a player who was an all-section player last year. Her name's Callie Legsden. She's Beaver Falls' pitcher, but she did verbally commit to James Madison University, and I haven't seen her play yet, so I'm actually kind of excited to watch her play and seeing how good she is. Anyone who's committed to a D1 college is definitely a good player. She isn't going there to pitch, though. I believe she's going there as a hitter and player in the field. So I'm excited to watch her. So if anyone knows Beaver Falls athletic director, please have him reach out to me. I'd really appreciate it. All right, so moving on down the list here. Up next is Blackhawk. Blackhawk's coached by Jim Riggio. This is his 7th season. When I found out Coach Bubba retired from Ambridge, I thought for sure Jim was going to be the most tenured coach, but he isn't. So that was surprising to see. Not that I think Jim's old or anything like that, but I did think he was around the longest. But anyway, Blackhawk is one of those teams that have the past years that my daughter's been playing high school ball. We always said Blackhawk's a young team. But this year, they're starting to mature. So you're going to see a team that I think is going to be really good, because they always had a lot of talent, but they never really had that experience. But now that these girls have been playing, 1 or 2 years underneath their belts, I think they're going to be, this is going to be a year where I think they're really going to leap into that next level. They've made the playoffs the past 2 seasons, but they haven't won any playoff games. So there's several teams in that same boat. But Blackhawk's one of those teams where I think you need to keep an eye on this year. They're going to be a fun team to watch. Now, they do have a returning all-section player. Her name's Zoe Lindner. She's their shortstop, a really good hitter. I actually played softball with her dad and grandfather in that co-ed league up in Brazen Park. So she definitely has the genetics to be a good ball player. But she is one of our 10 to watch players. Jim, he gave me several girls on that team, but for key players. But I listed him there because he sent them to me. But a couple girls that were on my under the radar list are left fielder Karma Malcolm. She's a junior, and then a right-handed pitcher is Peyton Kimberlin. She was another girl that was kind of on my radar a little bit. And then he had given me 3 impactful freshmen: infielder Kylie Pursuta, infielder Morgan Alexander, and an outfielder Addie Rammer. This team's definitely going to be one of the teams to watch too. They got everything in place to be a really, really competitive team. So good luck to Blackhawk and Coach Jim. The next team on the list is Central Valley. This team is coached by Shannon Solomon. This is her second season. This is another one of those teams who made playoffs the past 2 seasons, but have not had a first-round win yet. So there's several teams in that category. Her first year, she had some health problems towards the end of her first season. So it's kind of hard to really get an understanding on how she would have done in the playoffs if her team, she had a couple players who were injured too. So and herself, she was battling health concerns. So kind of tough year to measure on her first season. This is probably one of the more experienced teams in Beaver County. They have a lot of older girls on the team who are contributing at least more than other teams. There is one returning all-section player. That's Macy Littler. She's our center fielder. She is signed to play college ball at Youngstown State, which is pretty exciting. This is my daughter, if you don't know who I am or who we are. It's exciting, and like I said, I'm going to be following Central Valley around a little bit more than other teams this year, just because my daughter's a senior. If you want to watch Macy's podcast, again, click on this link up here. You hit a drop down, and you'll see one of her podcasts listed there. So if you want to watch it, go ahead and do that. Of course, with me watching the team, I kind of know the key players. Now, Shannon had sent me pretty much her entire starting lineup. But I just kind of had a few girls who were on my under the radar list. So one is the catcher, senior Peyton Howler. She's just a good, solid player. She doesn't really get the attention that I think she deserves. So I want to call her out here. Maddie Spurnick is an interesting story. Her freshman year, she had torn her ACL. She went through the rehab and everything, and then her sophomore year she tore her other ACL. So she came back from that, and she actually played on my Valley Rage team, and she's a really good softball player. I'm excited to see her finally healthy, and really looking forward to see her help this team like she can. And we also have 2 pitchers. So Central Valley they have Abby Stewart, who pitched most of the time last year. So hopefully we have Emma Weaver pitching a little bit more this year. And then they actually have a third pitcher too who could help them out, but it all depends on how the coaches plan on using these pitchers. So and then there is an impactful freshman on this team. Her name is Aubrey Grader. She's actually a phenomenal soccer player, good athlete. I've seen her swing a little bit over the winter. Her swing looks really nice, so I think she's going to be she's going to help out offensively. Now I heard she plays outfield for her travel team. And I guess they're planning on playing her in the infield here, so there could be some transition there. But it's exciting. It's my daughter's senior year, and hopefully they can get into the playoffs and maybe win a couple games for her senior year. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, good luck to Central Valley, and I'll be cheering you girls on. Okay, so next on our list is Freedom. This is another first-year coach. His name is Coach Ron May. We played against each other up in the co-ed league up in Brady's Run Park, so I know Ron. He does have a returning player, and she's an all-section player. Her name is Shay Bailey, and her parents have actually played in that same league as well. And Shay is probably, I would think it's safe to say that she's probably the most athletic girl in my 10 to watch list. She is a returning all-section player. She's a phenomenal athlete in almost every sport that she plays. So she plays soccer, basketball, track and field, and then also softball. And I think basketball is going to be her go-to sport. But that's just me guessing just by seeing her play. She's really good at basketball. Yeah, she's an exciting player. She actually, her batting average was the highest in Beaver County. She's someone to watch for sure. Now, key players on this team, the under the radar player on this Freedom team is right-handed pitcher, middle infielder, Liesa Young. She's a senior, and Coach Ron has also mentioned Kirsten Farrell, she's a senior, and she's going to play at Penn State Beaver for a college ball, which is pretty exciting for her. This is his first year. He wasn't real sure of freshman yet. I think I said this before, but when I sent this email out, mandatory practices didn't start yet. So a lot of these first-year coaches weren't sure of their younger players. So that's Freedom, and wish them the best this year, and hopefully we'll catch up with the athletic director and get me that approval so we can stream their games. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about Hopewell. Hopewell is actually my alma mater. That's where I went to school, so I have a little soft spot in my heart for them. But I will say this about this team. Coach Rhonda Koblik, this is her 5th season coaching here at Hopewell. And Hopewell has always been that team that just misses the playoffs. And, at least the 3 years that my daughter had played up at high school level. But they just missed the playoffs. But this team, in my opinion, they're starting to pull it all together. And I really think this year is the year that they're going to really start, claiming their existence in the playoffs. I just like what Coach Ron is doing with this team. I follow them on Facebook, and you see, their schedule all winter long. They had workouts. They had, strength training. They do team building all winter. You can just see that the culture that she's building out there in Hopewell is really coming together, and I think it's going to really show on the field how important a culture is. When you're building a program and trying to make it a competitive team. So, but I see a lot with these girls now. They don't have any returning all-section players. But they do have a couple key players, and I have a couple of those girls on my under-the-radar list. So one is Maya Parrish. She's their pitcher. She's been pitching as a freshman there, so she has 2 years under her belt, and you just get the feeling that this is going to be the year that she really, stakes her claim. And then another player is Chloe Nail. She's a junior too. She plays shortstop and catches some, and I actually, again, that co-ed league, I played softball with her dad, who was also a phenomenal shortstop. So I know they had the genes. And the other girl I want to mention there is Jordy Glumack. She has a really powerful bat. She did play on my Valley Rage team. I believe it was the first year that I had it, but she's a really solid player too. And then Coach Rhonda did give me a freshman. Her name is Allison Romilly. Again, I don't know her, but Coach Rana believes that she's going to help her out in the infield. So, so that's Hopewell, and like I said, that's a team. I think that's a team that's going to make some noise here in Beaver County this year. So, looking forward to watching their games, and I wish Coach Rana and the Hopewell Vikings luck. So next on our list is New Brighton. New Brighton is coached by Mike Bridges, and he's another 7-year coach. Been coaching there since 2017. Now, the athletic director at New Brighton did give me approval to stream games. However, I haven't heard back from Mike. So if anyone knows Mike out there, tell him to check his email, look for me, or just email me directly just to give me approval to stream the games and maybe throw some names at me from players on the team so I can include them on my list here. But I do have 2 key players that I added in there. One is Jocelyn, I can't say her name, Jocelyn Stasowski. Hopefully I said that right. But she's a senior. She's actually signed to play college softball at Carlow University, which is exciting for her. And then another girl, Haley Kidd, she's also signed, but she's going to Teal College, after her senior year here. So both those girls play with the Rage organization. So it's exciting for them, I'm sure. And I just wanted to add them to the girls that are just under the radar. So if anyone knows Mike Bridges, please have him reach out to me so we can talk a little bit about the streaming and what I need from him. So up next is Rochester. Rochester's coached by Michael Cunning. This is his 5th season there. He is also, so the athletic director at Rochester gave me the approval to stream games, but I haven't heard back from the coach. So the coach and I really haven't talked, so I need to kind of get on the same page with him, much like what I was saying with New Brighton's head coach. He just hasn't replied to my emails. But they do have one all-section player who's returning. Her name is Lydia Schaefer. I have her down as an infielder, but I think she also catches. But I have her on my under the radar list, so if anyone knows Coach Mike from Rochester, please have him check his email and reply to me or reach out to me so we can get on the same page with the streaming stuff. Okay, so now we're getting into Riverside. So Riverside's coached by Coach Jerry Lynn Cummings. She's been there now for 7 seasons. So we have several coaches that have coached for 7 years here in Beaver County. So Riverside is another one of those teams that we talk about that have made the playoffs the past 2 years, but they're still looking for their first win. And the thing with Riverside, it's a little bit different than these other teams. We talk about how young they are. Riverside has 2 really good pitchers, but they're both seniors this year. So you have to wonder if their window's kind of closing a little bit. I'm not sure what kind of pitching they have coming up behind their seniors here, but you have to wonder if this is their year to do it. But there's one girl who's a returning all-section player. She's an outfielder. Her name's Danny Rosenberger. I have her on my under-the-radar list, and she's a little sister to one of the senior pitchers, who is Sam Rosenberger. She actually signed with Barry University. It's a Division II college down in South Florida that she'll be attending after high school and playing softball down there. So that's pretty exciting. She is one of my 10 to watch players, and I feel that she's going to ultimately be the best pitcher that comes out of Beaver County this year. She's just a really good left-handed pitcher. Just good spin on the ball, hard to square up on. I just think she's a really good pitcher. Now, she did play for my Valley Rage team, so I'm friends with her and her family, so I know them well. Now, I did do a podcast with Sam. We did it and just kind of talked with her, asked her some questions and stuff. So there'll be a link up in this corner again if you want to click on that to view that podcast if you haven't watched it. It's a pretty good episode. And the other pitcher they have on that team is Aaliyah Taviani. She had a down year last year. I don't think she was really played up to her standards last year, so I'm expecting her to bounce back this year and have a really good year. She plays second base and she also pitches, and she's another girl who played on that Rage team of mine. Yeah, I wish Riverside and Coach Jerry Lynn the best, and I hope you guys get your first playoff win. I know Sam really wants it, so but yeah, good luck. Next up is Southside. Now Southside is one of those teams that the coaches didn't get back to me. So the athletic director approved streaming, but I haven't heard back from their coach yet. So we need to exchange emails and get that approval to stream. Now, Coach Amy Pietto, and I'm hoping I said her name right, but she is actually the most tenured coach in Beaver County. She's been coaching at Southside now for 9 years. So she's been around the block. So I don't have any information on her girl. I know they lost a lot of girls to graduation, but I don't really know what they have coming up the pipeline. So I'm hoping to discuss that with Amy at some point, so I have a good idea as far as who to watch on that team. But the last team on our list is Western Beaver. This is another first-year coach. Her name is Coach Hannah Maga. The thing with Western Beaver, they have to play these bigger teams. They play teams like Moon and South Fayette. And I think it's because of Lincoln Park somehow connected to them. So they also have to play these bigger schools. But they do have a couple key players that are coming back. So one is their all-section player that they have is Shaylin Shaw. She's actually from Hopewell, so I imagine she started going to Lincoln Park for whatever major she wants to major in there. But the other key players there is on my under the radar list is Izzy Lefebvre, and I don't know if I said that right. I hope I did, but she's definitely someone on my under the radar list. She is their pitcher, and she's a sophomore this year. And then Coach Hannah also had given me some other players that she feels going to be a key player that's listed there. And then she gave me two freshmen that should be an impactful freshman on her team. It's infielder Bella Colatriano and outfielder Drew McGraw. So yeah, that's Western Beaver, and it'll be interesting to see how they do and how they play against these bigger teams. So Coach Hannah definitely has her hands full, and I wish her the best when she starts her career out there at Western Beaver. All right, so the last list I like to talk about is the 5 teams to watch in Beaver County, and they're just in alphabetical order that I have here. So Beaver Bobcats is the first one on the list. They're a 2-time defending WPIL champion, and this team has a lot of young talent. With them, they don't have any juniors on this team, and I think they have like 3 graduating seniors. So this team is a very, very young team, and they have a bright future being led by Coach Amy. Blackhawk Cougars, I had already said how much I feel that this is going to be a big year for them. They still are a younger team, but they have just a ton of talent, and they should be a really fun team to watch. Central Valley, as I mentioned, they're one of the older teams in the county. But with their experience and talent on their team, they should be pretty competitive as well. Hopewell Vikings, I think, is going to be the team in Beaver County that's going to make the most noise this year. That's just my prediction. But they have a lot of talent, and I really like what Coach Ron is building out there in Hopewell with the team culture and how that team's sticking together. And then, of course, Riverside. Riverside has probably the most dominant pitching staff, definitely the most experienced pitching staff. Watching their games, you could potentially watch a no-hitter in any game you watch. So they should be a fun team to watch this year. Now, I did list Beaver Falls as honorable mention simply because I know that they made the playoffs last year, with them having the Callie player on their team, she's like I said, she's a Division I player, and anytime you have a Division I player, it always helps your team take that next step up. So as long as she's on their team, they should be pretty competitive, especially with her being a pitcher. So I'm excited to watch that team as well. Yeah, this isn't a ranking or anything. This is just 5 teams that I feel like we should really watch because they're going to be fun teams. They have a lot of talent. It's just going to be an exciting thing to watch, on the network. So that comes to an end. Like I said, the season here is getting ready to start. We have a couple games scheduled this week. I don't know how the rain's going to work out, but we'll see. And of course, the following week we'll start getting into more games. And as we get out of March and into April, of course, the weather will get nicer and we'll be out and about more often. So, like I said earlier, if you would please subscribe to the channel and click on the notifications, and you'll get notified anytime I go live. I'm looking forward to doing it this year, and I hope everyone enjoys what I'm doing, and I'm doing it for the girls, so whatever I'm doing here, I'm doing it with the girls in mind. So I hope they enjoy it, and I hope everyone else enjoys it as well. So that's it for tonight. So we'll talk to you next time, and we'll see you at the softball fields.